My boyfriend looked at me and said, "Your Christmas gift is your sister." Then I realized everything I wanted was gone, and now I'm trapped playing mom again. I've been waiting for this Christmas for years. Not just this one specifically, but the chance to have a real Christmas, the kind where you don't just scrape by. My boyfriend and I have been together for 3 years, but this is the first time we've been financially stable enough to really celebrate. We bought a tree, strung up lights, and even splurged on a few nice decorations for our apartment. For once, we could afford thoughtful gifts, and we were both so excited. Growing up, Christmas was the one bright spot in an otherwise chaotic household. My parents were in and out of each other's lives, and I was forced to take care of my younger siblings while they worked, or fought. But during the holidays, it felt like everything stopped. For a few weeks, the world was warmer, brighter. I loved Christmas back then. It was my escape, my favorite time of the year. Fast forward to now. My boyfriend and I live far from our families, so we decided this Christmas was about us. We set a budget for gifts, $500, a big deal for us after struggling so much the past few years. We even made lists of things we'd both gone without for too long. My list included basic essentials like warm clothes, shoes, and a winter coat, plus a few fun things like perfume. His was similar. Clothes, cologne, some stuff for the apartment, and a couple of video games. We talked about how this Christmas would be cozy and intimate, cooking a big meal together, staying in bed most of the day, playing video games or board games, just us. November was magical. We spent hours planning dates, picking out gifts, and finding small ways to make this Christmas special. Every conversation made me more excited. I was so ready for our first real Christmas together. But last night, everything changed. He sat me down, smiling like he had the best news in the world, and told me my Christmas gift early. He said he'd spent a good portion of my gift budget on a plane ticket for my little sister. He'd coordinated with my parents to have her fly out and spend Christmas with us. He even used part of the budget to buy her gifts so she wouldn't feel left out. I just stared at him, stunned. My sister? Spending Christmas here? He was so proud of himself as he explained the whole week he'd planned. All the cozy date ideas we'd been talking about for weeks? They were now for me, him, and my sister. Christmas movies, seeing the lights, baking cookies. It was all about giving her the perfect Christmas. And what about my list? He got me a couple of things from it, but not the essentials I needed. No warm clothes, no winter coat, no shoes. I couldn't hold it in. I started crying. It wasn't because I don't love my sister. I do. I raised her, basically. My parents were always busy or fighting, and I was the one who stepped up. She's amazing, but part of the reason I moved across the country was to finally be me, to have my own life. I thought this Christmas would be about celebrating that independence, about building something special with my boyfriend. But now it feels like I'm being pulled back into that old role. Instead of a romantic, intimate holiday, it's turned into me playing mom to my sister all over again. He looked at me like I was ungrateful. He said he thought he was being thoughtful, that he wanted to give me something meaningful. I told him that he couldn't have picked something worse if he'd tried. I don't like surprises. I've said this before. I don't like grand gestures. I just wanted us to be together, to have one Christmas where I could breathe and enjoy the holiday without worrying about taking care of someone else. Now I'm stuck. My sister doesn't know about any of this yet, and she's going to be so excited. There's no way I can tell her this isn't what I wanted. It would crush her. But I can't shake this feeling of betrayal. He knows how hard I've worked to build this life, how much this Christmas meant to me, and he decided, without asking, to throw all that out. I don't know if I'm overreacting. He keeps telling me I'm being selfish and that he was just trying to be nice. But it doesn't feel thoughtful. It feels like he completely missed what this Christmas was supposed to mean. It wasn't just about gifts. It was about us. Now I feel like a terrible person. I feel guilty for being upset, guilty for dreading what's supposed to be the happiest time of the year. But I can't help it. This isn't the Christmas I wanted. It's not the Christmas I thought we were building together. And I don't know how to make it okay. Update 1. Last night felt like my mind had cracked wide open. I was staring at the Christmas tree in the dark, the soft glow of the lights making the room look warm and inviting. But it didn't match how I felt. I wasn't supposed to feel this way right now. This was supposed to be our first Christmas where everything came together, The one we had been dreaming about while eating ramen and scraping together rent money during those tough first years. Instead, it feels like I'm the villain of my own holiday, like I've ruined something I should be grateful for, but I can't even fake it. After my boyfriend told me about the gift, I shut down. I mean, I cried, obviously, but after that, I didn't really know what to say. I went to the bedroom, left him sitting there, and tried to process. A million thoughts were crashing into each other in my head. Why didn't he ask me first? How did he think this was what I wanted? Why didn't he see how much I needed this holiday to just be ours? I could hear him moving around in the living room, probably cleaning up or trying to give me space. When he finally came to bed, he sighed like I was the problem. He said, "I don't get why you're so upset. I thought you'd be happy to see your sister." I didn't respond because I honestly didn't trust myself to say anything calm at that moment. But here's the thing. Yes, I do love my sister. She's one of the most important people in my life. I'd fight anyone who tried to hurt her. But this isn't about her. It's about the fact that he completely ignored what I wanted for Christmas, what I've been saying for weeks I was looking forward to, and replaced it with something I explicitly didn't ask for. And the part that hurts the most? He didn't just ignore my wishes. He used the money we both worked hard for to do it. We've been budgeting everything down to the dollar for years. We finally got bonuses this year, and we agreed that we'd use them to spoil each other a little. We both made lists. Mine wasn't even extravagant. I asked for basic stuff, things I needed but had been putting off buying for so long because there was always something more urgent to spend money on. And he took that money and spent it on my sister instead. I tossed and turned all night thinking about what he said, that I was being ungrateful, that he was trying to do something thoughtful, and I wasn't appreciating it. And I started questioning myself. Was I being selfish? Should I just suck it up and pretend to be happy for the sake of everyone else? It felt like I was spiraling. This morning, he acted like nothing happened. He made coffee and asked me if I wanted to help him finalize the plans for when my sister gets here. I told him I wasn't ready to talk about it, and he rolled his eyes, muttering something about how I was making things harder than they needed to be. That hit a nerve, and I snapped. I told him, "You didn't buy me a gift. You bought yourself a Christmas hero fantasy where you get to look like the good guy for saving the day." He looked shocked, and I regretted saying it immediately, but it was out there now. He said, "Are you serious? I did this for you. I thought it would make you happy to see your sister. I didn't think you'd be so selfish about it." Selfish. There it was again. That word. It's like he doesn't understand how much this holiday meant to me. Not just as a fun thing, but as a symbol of how far we've come together. I told him, "You didn't even ask me. You didn't think about what I wanted. You just decided this was what I'd get, and I'm supposed to smile and be grateful." The argument escalated from there. He kept saying he was trying to do something nice, and I kept telling him that if he'd actually listened to me, he would have known this wasn't what I wanted. At one point, he said, "I'm sorry I didn't get you everything on your list, but I thought this would mean more. It's not like you're a kid who needs a pile of presents under the tree." That stung. I wasn't asking for a pile of presents. I wasn't even asking for anything big. I just wanted a little bit of normalcy, a little bit of joy for us, a moment where I didn't have to feel like I was putting myself last again. I ended up walking out of the apartment. I needed to clear my head. I went to a coffee shop and just sat there, staring out the window at people rushing around with shopping bags and holiday cheer. I felt disconnected from all of it. I texted a friend to vent, and she said, "It sounds like he had good intentions but didn't think it through." And that's the problem. His intentions might have been good, but the execution was all wrong. By the time I got home, he wasn't there. He'd left a note saying he was going to pick up some groceries for dinner. I don't even know what to say to him when he gets back. I'm torn between wanting to scream and wanting to cry. I'm not mad that he wanted to do something for my sister. I'm mad that he decided this was the right thing without involving me, without considering how it would make me feel. I keep thinking about how this Christmas was supposed to be a turning point for us, a celebration of everything we've overcome together. Instead, it feels like a reminder that we're not on the same page, not even in the same book. And now, my sister is coming. I can't tell her not to. She doesn't know any of this, and it's not her fault. She'll be excited to spend Christmas with me, and I'll have to put on a brave face and make it magical for her. That's the worst part. I'll have to set aside how I feel and pretend everything is fine, all while watching my boyfriend bask in the glow of what he thinks is his perfect gift. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know if it can be fixed. All I know is this doesn't feel like Christmas anymore. It feels like another obligation, another thing I have to survive. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to look at this holiday the same way again. Update 2. He came back from the store with bags of groceries like nothing had happened. I watched him unpack from the kitchen doorway, trying to decide if I should bring it up again or let it go for now. He started humming a Christmas song while putting away the eggs and milk, like we weren't in the middle of this massive emotional gap. Finally, I said, "We need to talk about this before my sister gets here." He sighed, shutting the fridge a little harder than necessary, and said, "I thought we already talked about it." I stood there for a second, stunned. Talked about it? More like he bulldozed over my feelings and decided the conversation was over. But I stayed calm. I said, "You didn't hear me last night. I need you to understand why this is such a big deal to me." He turned to me with this exasperated look, like I was being difficult on purpose. "What's there to understand? I thought you'd be happy. I was trying to make you happy." That's when it hit me. He wasn't even trying to understand. He'd already decided he was the good guy in this situation, and anything I said was just ruining his narrative. I told him, "It's not about my sister. It's about how you didn't listen to me. You didn't ask me if I wanted her here. You didn't think about what I actually needed or wanted for Christmas." He crossed his arms and said, "I thought you'd want to see her because you're always saying how much you miss her. And yes, I do miss her. But missing her doesn't mean I wanted to spend the one holiday I was excited about being thrust back into caretaker mode." I said, "This was supposed to be about us. You didn't just invite her. You used our budget to do it. You spent money we both agreed to use for each other on something I didn't ask for. And now I'm left with scraps while you pat yourself on the back for being thoughtful." He rolled his eyes. "You're being so dramatic. She's your sister. I thought you'd be happy I did something meaningful instead of just buying you a bunch of random stuff." Random stuff? That hit a nerve. The list I gave him wasn't random. It was filled with things I genuinely needed. Things I'd gone without for months, waiting for a moment when we could finally afford them. A winter coat, warm clothes, shoes that weren't falling apart. These weren't luxury items. They were things I needed to feel like myself again. I told him, "This wasn't thoughtful. Thoughtful would have been asking me what I wanted and making that happen. You didn't even consider how this would affect me, how much pressure it puts on me to make Christmas perfect for her now. You just decided what I'd get and expected me to be grateful for it." He threw his hands up. "Fine. I guess I can't do anything right. I'm sorry for trying to do something nice." The sarcasm in his tone made me want to scream. It wasn't about him trying to be nice. It was about the fact that he didn't listen, didn't ask, didn't care enough to think about what I actually wanted. But arguing wasn't getting us anywhere, so I walked out again. This time, I went for a drive. I didn't have a destination. I just needed to get out of that apartment and away from him before I said something I couldn't take back. As I drove, I kept thinking about all the little moments over the past few years when I'd put my needs aside for his, when I'd gone along with his plans even if they weren't what I wanted. And it hit me. I've been doing this for a long time. When I got back, he was in the living room, scrolling on his phone like nothing had happened. I sat down across from him and said, "I'm serious about this. We need to figure this out before she gets here, or this is going to ruin Christmas for me." He looked up, annoyed, and said, "What do you want me to do? I already bought the ticket. I can't undo it now." I told him, "It's not about undoing it. It's about acknowledging that you screwed up, that you didn't think this through, and that you hurt me by ignoring what I wanted." He sighed again, but this time it felt more defeated than annoyed. "I just thought it would be nice. I didn't mean to hurt you." I said, "I know you didn't mean to. But the fact that you didn't mean to doesn't change how it made me feel. You need to start listening to me, really listening, and not just deciding what's best for me without asking." He nodded, but it didn't feel like he fully understood. Maybe he just wanted the conversation to be over. I don't know. But I wasn't done. I said, I need you to do better. Not just for Christmas, but in general. I need to know that you actually hear me when I tell you what I need. He said, okay, fine. I'll try to do better. Can we just move on now? Move on. Like it was that easy. But what choice do I have? My sister is coming, and I can't change that without hurting her feelings. So now I'm stuck pretending everything is fine while I feel like a second thought in my own relationship. I'm trying to be okay with it. I'm trying to focus on the fact that I'll get to see my sister and make it a good Christmas for her. But there's this nagging feeling I can't shake, that this isn't just about Christmas. This is about how we communicate, how we make decisions, and whether or not we're really on the same page about what we want from this relationship. For now, I'm going to fake it. I'll smile when my sister gets here. I'll do my best to make her feel special. But in the back of my mind, I'm wondering if this is a sign of bigger problems. Problems we might not be able to fix. Update 3. Christmas came and went, and honestly, I don't even know how to feel about it anymore. My sister arrived on the 23rd, bright-eyed and full of excitement, completely unaware of the tension bubbling beneath the surface. The moment I saw her, my heart softened. She's still just a kid, you know? It wasn't her fault she got dragged into the middle of this. I hugged her tight, swallowed my frustration, and resolved to make her visit as good as I could manage. The first couple of days were chaotic. My boyfriend went all out with the activities he'd planned. We baked cookies, watched Christmas movies, and drove around looking at lights. He seemed so proud of himself, showing her everything he'd lined up, like he was winning points for effort. Meanwhile, I couldn't shake the feeling of being sidelined in my own holiday. Every time we did something fun, I kept thinking about what I'd originally imagined, just him and me, cozy, low-key, enjoying each other's company. Instead, I spent the week coordinating meals, cleaning up, and making sure my sister was entertained. Christmas morning was where things came to a head. We exchanged gifts, and while my sister was thrilled with everything she received, I couldn't help feeling crushed when I opened mine. Remember how I mentioned needing practical things, like warm clothes or a coat? Well, he got me some random trinkets that screamed last-minute thoughtlessness. A candle, a coffee mug, and a pair of novelty socks. That was it. I plastered on a smile because my sister was right there, excitedly opening her gifts. But I felt this sinking pit in my stomach. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he really thought I'd like these things. Or maybe he'd run out of money after buying her ticket and gifts. But deep down, it just felt like confirmation of what I'd been dreading. He doesn't see me. Not really. Later that evening, after my sister went to bed, I finally confronted him. I asked him point blank, "Did you even think about me when you planned all this?" He looked at me like I'd just slapped him. "What are you talking about? I've done everything for you this Christmas." That sent me over the edge. I told him, "You didn't do this for me. You did this for you. To feel like you're some hero swooping in to save the day. You didn't ask me what I wanted, and you didn't listen when I told you. You just decided for me, like my needs don't even matter." He tried to argue, saying he thought I'd be happy, that he'd gone out of his way to make Christmas special. But by then, I was too tired to fight. I just told him, "If you'd really wanted to make me happy, you would have listened to me. That's all I wanted. For you to listen." The conversation ended there. He went to bed angry, and I stayed up, staring at the Christmas tree, wondering what the hell I was doing in this relationship. I love him. I really do. But this whole situation has made me question if love is enough when the other person doesn't seem to understand you. Or worse, doesn't even try. My sister left yesterday, and the apartment feels eerily quiet now. I've been trying to process everything, replaying the past few weeks in my head. I keep coming back to one thought. This isn't just about Christmas. It's about how we handle conflict, how we make decisions, how we prioritize each other. And right now, it feels like we're not on the same page. I haven't decided what to do yet. Part of me wants to sit him down and have a serious conversation about where we're going from here, But another part of me wonders if I'm just prolonging the inevitable. I know relationships take work, but how much work is too much? How much compromising can you do before you lose yourself in the process? For now, I'm taking some space. I told him I need time to think, and he's been giving me that, mostly anyway. He's trying to act like everything's fine, but I can tell he's walking on eggshells. Maybe he's finally starting to realize how serious this is. Or maybe he's just waiting for me to get over it so things can go back to normal. Either way, I don't think normal is an option anymore. This has been a wake-up call for me, and I need to figure out what I want, not just for Christmas, but for my future. If he's not willing to meet me halfway, then maybe it's time to move on. I don't know. I guess we'll see.